Oh God. Okay, we are live. Me and Mohammed together. Watch the fight, and I think Mohammed's going to make fun of how upset I am about Anthony Joshua losing. But what a performance from Usyk. It's funny because we were scoring it, and I think either Mohammed suddenly become an AJ fanboy, or I was extremely biased. But for some reason, I had AJ 7-5 up, and Mohammed had a draw. But then obviously Mohammed had someone who was actually at the fight, said he got like Usyk absolutely dominated it. Also, the fact that I think AJ walked away when the scores were being called out kind of proves that he knows he lost as well in there. Thoughts, Mohammed?
Well, so I remember we had a discussion before the fight began about prediction, and obviously I predicted Usyk to win. I did think he was going to win on points, but you don't know what it's like with judges, obviously, as boxing is. So I thought maybe he had to do a bit more. Maybe he had to knock AJ out to secure the victory. But I thought Usyk would have won on points because he's faster on his feet. Obviously, got such a significantly strong amateur. Double trouble. He's got a significantly strong amateur background, of course. And it was obviously great. Great fight. And it'll obviously translate to heavyweight. So I predicted Usyk to win. And then we watched the fight. I tried to remove all my biases as best I could, and we were scoring it throughout the rounds. And at the end, I did land on a draw. I did have a few 10-10s, and on reflection, I probably would have given them to Usyk, but switched to 10-10s simply to eliminate the bias that I thought maybe I was having. So I'm not surprised with the result. I'm surprised that the judges delivered it, because I would have thought that maybe they would have had it closer, because you know what it's like with with home fighters.
Yeah, it can be. I think the fact that AJ walked away, I think, just proves that it was quite comprehensive. And Chris Rossi says, "Who do you think should win?" So obviously AJ lost. The fight's just over, so it's a post-fight reaction. Usyk winning on points. I think it was 117, 111. No, sorry, 117.
It's in the margin of around 4.
Yeah, 115, like 113, which I thought was. It sounds now like it was a bit, fortunate for AJ to be that close. But then I think it was 116, 111, 117, 111. And Osvaldo, so that's Gabe. Thanks for joining. Says Joshua got his snack box rocked. He did a little. The thing is, that's what I mean. Like maybe it was because we were being a bit biased. I was being a bit biased because Mohamed's not really an AJ fan. I think I have kind of said openly that I've been to a few of his fights, and I just like his style of fighting. But clearly, like, he just got outboxed on the day, and he knew it himself, and he didn't box badly. I think that kind of reflects it maybe on, and maybe the issue is that we were comparing how he's fought in the past to now, and that this is actually not a bad looking age. It's just Usyk was so good. Like, he showed a phenomenal side to him. And I think we were saying that also the camera angles didn't help a little bit. I think some of them, were showing them from the back, so you can't really see if someone's got clipped clean. Yeah. Also, like, Usyk's jittering around so much. His movement, like, is clearly world class. It was just how much success is he having? Clearly, we got it wrong in that. But what a performance! Usher says, Gabe in the chat, AJ losing, that's a shock. It's a huge shock. Yeah. So obviously, everyone wanted the AJ Fury fight. That's even further away than it was after he lost to Ruiz the first time. So, what do you think? Were you before the fight? I think you wouldn't have been surprised by this result, would you? Though?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have been surprised by the result. I did think, like I said, that he had the movement and the speed to deal with AJ, and to be very smart in terms of just boxing him.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we're watching the fight, and maybe it was the camera angles from the viewers side of things, but there's other people, I'm sure, who scored it the same way as Usyk. Usyk maybe clearly winning the fight by 3 or 4 head, who had watched the fight and weren't present at the fight. But I mean, it didn't seem particularly clear that Usyk was necessarily winning that many rounds. It was tight. The fight was tight. I think I had at least 4 of the rounds that I gave as 10-10s, and I think maybe 2 of those probably would have gone to Usyk if I didn't think I was just trying to eliminate my bias for Usyk. I think one thing that is clear is that Joshua had a really hard time trying to connect.
Yeah,
I think that is probably one of the main reasons why He didn't win this fight on points. Usyk's movement was too good for him. Joshua needed to land a lot of body shots, try and slow Usyk down. He could have, if he had landed some good power punches, surely it would have rocked Usyk, who isn't necessarily used to experiencing heavyweight punching power. So Joshua could have done quite a few things in order to have upset Usyk, but he was ineffective, and that's not necessarily down to the fact that Joshua wasn't good enough trying to target him. It probably is a testament to Usyk's ability to move. And Joshua had good spells as well in the fight. He was good at trying to keep his distance, avoid getting into avoid getting into close quarters, and allowing Usyk to work on the inside. So, they both had their good moments in my view. I can see why Usyk won on points. I could also maybe see potential for it being a draw, kind of. But I mean, even after the fight, you could see that Joshua kind of knew he'd lost. I think.
Yeah. I think he's in that 12th round, he looked absolutely knackered. But to go through some of the comments, Gabe says Joshua Usyk was just better, looked much sharper. And yeah, I think that's kind of what we were saying. I think maybe we were just comparing Joshua, to kind of the best we've seen of him, and clearly the best wasn't good enough today, or the best utilizing the tactics he had, which I think could have been better. Like Muhammad clearly stated, I think we were both saying it, like he needs to go to the body better, because that's the way to slow down a mover. Didn't do it, and that kind of bit him in the backside, really. Yeah. Well, this is really interesting. Adair Pennant says that's the way the WBC Bridgerweight division is a waste of time for boxing. So obviously that's the division in between cruiserweight and heavyweight they're trying to bring in, which is really not caught on. Only the WBC is trying to do it. And I think they've got Bryant Jennings versus, what's his name, Kaboom, Oscar Rivas, who lost to Dylan White. So they're fighting Canada, actually. But the issue with that is that, as Des kind of pointed out, Usyk is just, he would have been that division, but he's just so elusive, used his boxing ability and outbox a much bigger guy. So clearly, it's probably not needed. Yeah. I should say if I bet him, I would have bet on Joshua, but that's just a bias due to not knowing enough.
Many people would have bet on Joshua winning this fight. I mean, he's fighting at home. He's obviously got a great record himself. A lot of people may not necessarily know Usyk if they're not following other divisions in the boxing world, given that Usyk recently arose into the heavyweight division. His previous fight against it was Chisora, wasn't it?
Chisora, yeah.
His previous fight against Chisora he didn't seem to. Well, he obviously dominated the fight, but he didn't look that amazing.
No,
didn't seem to come across as someone who would necessarily pose a significant threat to AJ per se. Yeah. But he's clearly warmed into the heavyweight division very well. He's taken all the belts home in the process, and now becomes the man in the heavyweight division.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because I feel like actually, if you look at the scorecards for Chisora Usyk, they're probably similar. I think they were to this fight. And AJ's clearly a better fighter, but Usyk definitely raised his level. And you said, I don't think he's shown his true level against Chisora. Heavyweight, and clearly, he gave more, didn't he?
Yeah, he did give more.
Does this change Joshua's career trajectory? To your point, also lost to Ruiz. So yeah, I mean, it does. I think the big issue for him is that this was seen as two semi-finals. If AJ and Fury won, then most likely they would fight. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. If Fury beats Wilder, I mean, he will have to have a fight in between if that ever does happen. But I think AJ has to beat Usyk in a rematch. And that looks so unlikely, because against Ruiz, and I'll ask you, Mons, what you think? Against Ruiz, he got knocked out, didn't quite look himself. Yeah. But you can get knocked out. It's the heavyweight division. It happens. Yeah. And it can happen. But here he got comprehensively outboxed. And we said there's a few adjustments we thought he can make. But again, we're not boxing experts. But if you utilize that, will they help? Probably. But is it enough to bridge the gap in boxing ability? Or does he just try and charge Usyk? But then I just think he ends up missing wildly, like he tried to a couple of times. He started timing him a little bit, but can he do that for 12 rounds after looking at Usyk for a whole fight? I mean, what do you think?
I think, well, I'm sure he would take the rematch. Yeah. There's a stipulation that there is a rematch clause. It wouldn't make sense if he doesn't take the rematch, because it would suggest that he has resigned on the idea that he has any chance against Usyk, and that he's not good enough. AJ has a good track record of coming back well in his second fight. I mean, the only one I think he's had was with Ruiz, and he made adjustments. You can make the argument that he wasn't feeling well in the first fight, that he got knocked down or he had some sort of concussion or some sort of issue in the background during the first fight, didn't feel himself. He'll obviously make adjustments for the second fight. I think he probably needs to try and improve his ability to try and work at the body more and come out more aggressively. He's going to have to be aggressive in the second fight. He's going to have to try and go for a knockdown or something like that, because I feel like Usyk's movement is too good for Joshua. Even then, I mean, Joshua was slimming down for this.
Yeah,
fight.
so if he was
trying to be slim and
he was gassed out by the end.
He was gassed out by the end. So you think, well, what does Joshua do? Whatever he does, I think he needs to be more aggressive next fight, because I think Usyk got away with, he got away in the fight pretty much unscathed in many respects. Yeah. If he ate a few more punches, regardless of what those punches were, whether it's on your face or your body or wherever, like if he just ate more punches, I'm sure that would have zapped the energy out of him a bit more.
Yeah.
And he just did not land flush very often at all in the fight. And Usyk's going to come into this now with a lot of confidence in the second fight. It's likely they will probably dictate where the fight's going. In terms of the fact that it might take place in the Ukraine or somewhere else, or somewhere that maybe there won't be as many British fans, and that's obviously more of a home advantage for Usyk himself. So AJ's coming up against something that's going to be a very tough challenge for him, and it's going to be interesting to see how he approaches it.
Yeah, agreed. I think the issue is he bulks up and then he gasses out earlier. So it's a question of then does he go for the knockout early, which clearly that shows his intention if he does. But he has to be more aggressive early doors, but then it also opens him up to getting caught. When Usyk is really sharp at the start, and the judges had him take the first 4 rounds. We didn't have it, but I think maybe when I watch it back, we'll see that. I think he probably let Usyk get a lead too quickly early doors, and then he struggled to kind of get it back, didn't he? Aderi says there's better quality of heavyweights now than the Klitschko era. Yeah, I agree. And I think that shows like we've got... Look, AJ lost, but I think he's obviously still up there, but he's not now up there with Fury. I think you've obviously got Fury and probably Usyk just below. And then you've got kind of Joshua and then Wilder. I'd still have Wilder below Joshua, but you can have them in the same category now, I think, if you want as well. Then you've got people like White, etc. as well. Joe Joyce and people coming through. So clearly a lot of people there. And Gabe says James Toney could have used that bridgeweight division. Yeah, he could have, because he moved through the weights, didn't he? And was kind of more overweight than kind of going up. And he just had unbelievable ability. And says that's a great point. He got caught against Ruiz, but he got exposed against Usyk. And I think that's the issue. And I don't quite know how he bridges the gap. And in Ukraine as well, like that's going to be nuts. Happen
if it is in Ukraine.
Is that not going to be something like Usyk, it's going to be like a Rocky 4 like moment where he goes to Russia to fight Ivan Drago, but he'll be going to Ukraine obviously to fight Usyk, and it'll be like, it'll just be incredible. If he manages to do it, it'll be a great win, but I don't know. The OS29 joined for you.
Hey, Theos, you good? Sorry, I missed the stream. We didn't stream the fight. We had a little get together and we were watching it on the big screen, and due to the fact that it was playing out loud and we had a bunch of people over, we couldn't stream what we were watching for copyright reasons, because the sound would have been shown. But we've jumped on this stream right now as kind of a post-fight reaction. You say watch with your mates, similar to us. Happy the underdog won. Yeah, I'm kind of happy the underdog won as well. I do like underdogs, and even though the Brit lost, which is not good. The underdog won, and at the end of the day, the person who's got the skills is the one that's going to win, and that's that's the beauty of boxing, at least. Providing judges don't misscore fights. That's what should happen. The better man won.
100%.
Joe Joyce versus Usyk. Yeah. I mean that. Why not?
I think if so it looks like AJ might have an eye injury. If he has an eye injury, then they'll have to delay the rematch. Then he might fight Joe Joyce in the interim. Or, obviously, if Joshua is happy to fight straight away like he's fit enough, then I can't see Joshua not taking the rematch. I think he'll take it, like he has to. Like otherwise, how it's always been road to undisputed, hasn't it? Like so, how's he not going to take it? Is he going to start fighting people like Chisora and like? No, like, I can't see that happening.
Way.
So
yeah.
he wants to be at the top, and he'll try and retire at the top or near the top. So he'll have to fight Usyk again. I don't know how that'll go, but it'll be interesting. Theos29 says, "I'm Irish, by the way. I like Anthony Joshua, but like."
Watched as a neutral. I'm happy the Batman one. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, of course. You don't want anyone to get robbed, do we?
No, and you know what's interesting about this fight is, and I'm going to come to how you feel as well, Fazan, about this, given your love of AJ. Is the triangle that we had, if we were to look at the heavyweight division as a shape, it was a triangle.
Yeah,
we had Wilder, we had Fury, and we had AJ. Now it's a square. Yeah. So Usyk has joined the shape.
Yeah,
we have a square. And
I agree.
I don't see another fifth person joining right now, but it's very interesting, and I want to see all of them fight each other just to see what it would result in.
Didn't everyone? There were a lot of people, to be fair, that said Usyk is like he should be up there with them, but there was always the question mark on. Okay, well, he's done incredibly well at cruiserweight, one of the best cruiserweights ever, probably just below Holyfield. But heavyweight's a different prospect. People hit harder, they're bigger. How's he going to bring his power up as well and his movement? He was at the heaviest he's been at heavyweight, and he still moved really well. Yes, he got timed a few times. Yes, he missed a few times. But I just think maybe we're not used to seeing this type of high-level boxing. Like, it's so high-level watching Usyk, and Joshua is pretty high-level as well, obviously. But I think the boxing ability that Usyk possessed, and maybe the punch output, we didn't appreciate as much because, yes, Joshua was evading some shots, but he was also getting clipped. And I think Usyk, with the movement, the pressure was impressive. So I think it's going to be interesting. I would love to see all of them fight. I don't think they will all fight each other. What they should do is, if they could do like a World Boxing Super Series like they have for some other divisions, you just chuck them all in a tournament and you basically go like, here we go, like whoever wins gets all the belts basically, and the Ring Magazine belt, and you get the Muhammad Ali trophy as well, because it's that. But there's
sounds very hard to put
too much politics, and like you need a lot of money plowed into that, so it won't happen. But I'm just saying like that would be ideal. But yeah, I mean it's crazy, and obviously I'm so interested to see what Wilder and Fury's social media responses are.
And I do wonder what they're saying. I mean, while I check the Twitters, Fazan, why don't you let your viewers know how you feel about this fight, and why you predicted AJ to win, and what you think went wrong for him. I mean, I think you've already mentioned it.
Thanks, Mohammed. I've honestly, like, obviously everyone knows that I've got a little bit of a soft spot for AJ. I've said it in other videos as well, to be fair, but I'm honest, and I think obviously when I was scoring it, probably some bias seeped in. I think, actually, to be fair, we were watching, I think everyone else gave it to Usyk, if I'm not mistaken, apart from Muhammad, who gave it a draw. But everyone else did. Venu, Arangan, and Will gave it to Usyk, I think someone gave it. Or someone, but either way, no one gave it to Joshua, basically, right? So, and considering apart from me, considering his reaction as well after the fight, clearly, sometimes when you watch a fight, it's hard to explain, but you're only really watching one fighter the most. Like, it's quite hard to always watch both fighters intently for a whole round. And I felt like maybe I was only watching the work that Joshua was doing rather than appreciating Usyk's. And I think clearly after watching the highlights after as well, like, you can see that, Usyk just outboxed him, and he looked tired in spurts, and yes, Joshua pushed him in bits when he put the pedal on, and looked like he might have hurt him a little bit. But Joshua also got hurt more, to be fair. Got rocked back once, got the left backhand on the backhand of Usyk was so effective throughout the whole fight, and Joshua didn't go to the body enough. So if you don't go to the body enough, you can't slow down one of the great movers in Usyk. It's like Canelo did to Amir Khan. I know obviously there's a difference in weight there, but he hit Amir Khan to the body from the start. Left hook to the body, slowed Amir Khan down and knocked him out. And basically that's what Joshua should have done. It's easier said than done, though. Only one big body shot, which I can remember. And Gabe says, okay, boys, got to go. Great analysis. Thank you. Appreciate it. Guys, you please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment, share the video, all that good stuff. Anything?
Literally,
Nothing.
Literally, no one has tweeted anything. Fury hasn't tweeted anything.
Has
Chisora hasn't tweeted
I tell
anything.
you what,
Wilder hasn't. White hasn't. Like no one's.
they
No one said
definitely
anything.
they will. They will.
So I'm sure the tweets will start following through in due course. But as it currently stands, literally no one. Maybe no one's watched this fight. No,
Well, one thing that I want to say though
what
as
if
well.
Joshua Parker said anything, even though he's not in?
Joseph Parker, yeah.
Sorry,
Joseph Parker. One thing I'd
talking
like
about
to say
Joshua
though,
too
to be
much.
fair, is that obviously, like first of all, Usyk, like unbelievable credit. He's the third cruiserweight to come up from cruiserweight to heavyweight and win a heavyweight title. Obviously, David Haye won the WBA. I think it was a regular title, or actually, no, it was a WBA at the time, but then they I think they split it into regular and super. And he beat Valuev. But I mean, this is like he is definitely not Holyfield status, obviously yet, but he is up there as some. Alexander the Great says the zone boxing, but he's kind of he's below there, but he's getting there, right? Like the more he boxes like this, and the more wins he can rack up like this. If he was to beat a Fury, if he was to beat a Wilder, like you start putting him in generational great, and he's already one of the best. He is the best cruiserweight of the generation, and he's probably the second best of all time. Crippy says, sad. Hopefully, Joshua wins the rematch. Yeah, I mean, I hope so as well. I mean, the interesting thing is, if they have the rematch, is Usyk gonna put a rematch clause in that to say, if you beat me, though, I want the trilogy? Because Ruiz didn't do that. So I wonder whether that was in the contract or whether they'll drop a new contract. Because I think Usyk will probably feel like, or maybe he's that confident that he won't do it. But I feel like he might do that, and if so, then we could get a trilogy like we did Wilder Fury, which I think only works if there's appetite for it. So it depends how the second fight goes.
Yeah, and query when that second fight will be, given that number one, we don't know what the status of Joshua's eye is, and number two, Usyk mentioned in the post-fight interview that he hasn't seen his family in a long time, spent time with his family.
He's like basically shut up.
Some time to spend with them. So we'll see. We'll see when that rematch is. I'm sure it's going to happen. It needs to happen.
You look very smug.
Well, it is what it is. I did predict Usyk would win. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I want to see Fury Usyk, to be fair, now, because initially I was thinking about Fury Joshua, but
can you imagine if Wilder beats Fury? Then you'll probably get Joshua Usyk 2 and a Wilder
Fury.
You probably get Wilder Fury 4.
That'd be highly unlikely.
Well, the Wilder beats Fury.
Yeah, Wilder's not going
to. He clips him. He can clip anyone.
Yeah, and then Fury will just get up again and call him a dosser. So it's
maybe. Chris says Joshua looked like he didn't perform to the best of his ability. I don't think so. I think that the fact that like we were scoring it, I think it's because we were looking a lot at Joshua's work. I don't think it was his best ever performance, but I think maybe it was in the sense that if you look at how good Usyk is, he's probably the best fighter he's ever fought. I don't think we can, because Vladimir Klitschko wasn't in his prime.
Not prime, yeah.
And you look at the other fights. Obviously, he's fought Povetkin, who's a good fighter, but again, like not in the caliber of Usyk. And Parker, not in the caliber of Usyk.
Pulev, not in
the caliber of Usyk. Like whatever. Charles Martin, obviously nowhere near. You've got people like Dominic Brazil, again, not there.
Yeah.
So like. Ruiz is up
on
there,
the caliber of Usyk, but
Ruiz is like top 10.
Was slacking for the second fight. He
Ruiz is top 10, but he's not top tier. So
he's top tier. That's what he is.
Yeah, top snicker tier. So basically,
first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Sponsored by Snickers. But Usyk clearly is the best. Like, no doubt, he's the best fighter that what Joshua's fought, and he would be the best fighter that Fury's fought. In terms of boxing ability, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think he's better than Klitschko was when Fury fought him. Again, I don't think that's a prime Klitschko.
Yeah.
It's still it's closer than the one that Joshua faced, but it's still not prime. And I just think in terms of boxing ability, let's take away power, because I think obviously.
AJ's got more power.
Yeah, and other people like Klitschko. Klitschko clearly has more power. Pulev, I think, maybe even might have more power. Yeah. But we're talking about movement, boxing ability, timing. Like Usyk is up there clearly, and I think this is the best that I've ever seen Joshua with his head movement and body movement. Yet he still lost comprehensively. So I think that kind of shows It's a beating, and it's a beating physically and mentally. I think that's the issue. So how does he bounce back? I don't know, but clearly you can see I'm sad. So leave me alone. No, I'm joking. Any parting words, Mohammed?
No. Well done to Usyk. I do hope Joshua takes the rematch. It'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes, and I'm sure we'll be here for the rematch to watch that when it does come. Like I said, triangle's turned into square now, so let's see how that square ends up panning out in terms of all the different fights. And I want all those four to fight each other at some point. So let's just see some good fights, people.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think Usyk's 34, Wilder is 35, I think. Fury's 32 and Josh is 31, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, if they're going to fight, they need to fight in the next 2-3 years. If it doesn't happen in the next 3 years, if they don't fight with each other, it won't happen. Unless you have, but like we don't really want to see Fury Joshua in 3 years' time, unless they're still managing to improve by then. But heavyweights can go until 40, but realistically, I think 37 is kind of like 36, 37 is kind of like when they clearly are going to be declining. Like they can't anything past 35. I think you start declining realistically, depending on who you are. But
so who do you think is the best heavyweight right now? Like right now, given that AJ's lost, all the heavyweights,
I still think it's Fury.
You think it's okay?
Yeah. I mean, I thought
you always thought it was Fury.
Yeah. I always.
Okay.
No. As in, I thought that if you look at it rankings wise.
No. But I mean, I'm asking your own.
But are you asking
what's your heart saying?
Who I thought would win, or who I thought was clearly the better all-round fighter?
Who do you currently think is the top heavyweight in the division right now?
Well, I thought that before. I thought Joshua might be able to beat Fury.
And who's second now? Now it's Usyk, I guess.
Yeah,
in your
Usyk,
eyes.
yeah.
And then it's Joshua.
Then Wilder. I think if you want to have
maybe White and then maybe
Joyce.
Actually, I put Joyce above White.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Joyce above White,
Ruiz,
and then White, and then you know what I do? I personally think Parker is above Ruiz, but that's my view. I think Parker's above Ruiz.
Okay, interesting.
Personally, and then I'd put Ruiz. Unless Ruiz has been doing work in the gym that I'm not aware of, mate.
Leg day every day.
I don't rate Ruiz that highly right now.
I think I mean, I always thought Fury. Like, to be fair, like not at any point did I think that like Fury wasn't number one. After beating Wilder, that is. But I just thought like if they fought, I just felt Joshua could get to him and beat him. But that's styles, right? In terms of actual overall, I thought Fury's been the better fighter. Teacher Allen's channel, thanks for joining, says fair play to AJ for taking the fight. Yeah, I mean, it has to be like, to be fair, he could have ducked this so easily. He could have just gone sideways and been like, swerved it, dropped the belt, let Usyk fight Joyce, kind of, and either then say, okay, I want to fight you, see how Usyk deals with Joyce, and maybe Joyce wins, then it's an easier, it's an easier fight for him. And then also, like he could have just said to Fury, like Fury saying, well, actually, the belts don't matter, I'll just fight you without the belt. But no, he took it because he wants to fight the best, to be fair. I think everyone knows that clearly. Like, he fought someone who I think everyone may be apart, although Fury still didn't want to fight. I don't think Fury's worried about Usyk, but I think Fury is like, that's maybe a problem I don't need to deal with because he doesn't really bring much to the table, like revenue-wise. But no one was calling Usyk's name. No one was like, I'll fight him. I guarantee you Wilder won't fight him. 100%. If Wilder fights him in his career, I would be so surprised. Like 100%.
Wilder's boxing ability is not on that
level. He'd get boxed like for 12 rounds. It'd be a shutout. T. Allen's channel says Del Boy, in my opinion, beat Usyk. No, I don't think so. I think it was again like it wasn't a shutout, but I think he still beat Chisora. It was relatively close, but
I think the judges' scorecards were ridiculous. If I remember correctly, they were way more wider than I thought.
Same, yeah.
But I do think
he lost
it.
He says he bullied him, had to know looked in trouble. AJ looked in trouble every round. Yeah, but I think you got to realize that this is a different Usyk. Like, let's be honest, if AJ faces Chisora, he knocks him out. I mean, it's just styles. Maybe Del Boy's Chisora's pressure fighting is more trouble for Usyk. Maybe, but I don't think it's that. I think it's more he's getting used to heavyweight. He's getting used to his body. He's been training for this fight for 6 straight months. He clearly adjusted to the weight now. He's clearly there. His body's adjusted, and I think he just rose to the occasion, to be fair. And a lot of fighters do that. Look at Fury. Does it every single time. Fights against Otto Warren, looks horrific. Then fights Wilder, and knocks him out in 3-4 rounds. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. It's 30 minutes. I think that's done. And I think, we'll probably do I think I'm going to watch the highlights of the fight. I'm assuming you will at some point this weekend. Rather than maybe not the whole fight, but the highlights. And then we might do a kind of a proper review after looking into that, because I feel like this is quite raw and brutal, as IFL TV would say. Teach Alan's channel says, fair point, completely agree. Different Usyk double is a good way up call for Usyk, and welcome to the heavyweight division. Yeah, agreed. I think that's definitely it. Definitely a good test to kind of welcome you to the heavyweight division for sure. But yeah, as I said, me and Muhammad will do. I want to sit down and after watching the highlights. And maybe talk about it more technically, so I can cry about it more. And Muhammad can be really happy about it. But we'll sit down maybe, hopefully tomorrow if we have time, or today. I think it's midnight now, and talk about the fight, kind of break it down a little bit, and also then talk about what's next for both fighters and where it was won and lost and stuff. So yeah, maybe by that time we might be lucky and might have some social media stuff from Fury and Wilder and other heavyweights to talk about. So yeah, hopefully. Cool. Thanks very much, guys.
Cool, thank you.
Do a sign off.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching this post-fight Raw review.
Raw and brutally honest.
See you on the next one. And wow, what a night! What a night of boxing, eh? All right, take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.